Hi, everybody. My name's Rita Hickman, and I'm a body-mind expert and a shiatsu massage therapist in Northern Illinois. That's the Chicagoland area. And my specialty is helping women navigate the big things in life, helping them deal with divorce or childhood trauma, or this last one has been on soulmates. So we spent the last 2 weeks talking about soulmates, and I do these live streams, typically Monday through Friday, 8:15 to 8:30 in the morning Central Standard Time. And then I also send the replays. If you go to inspiremassage.com and sign up for our emails, then you'll be able to get the daily replays and inspirations. So I help women navigate all those big things in life, and I help them do it in a very practical minded sort of way. You know, a lot of personal growth experts that have been out there, their focus is all on the head game. Their focus is on if you change your mind, you change your life. And that's true. But most people have forgotten the importance of the body mind. The body mind is how your mind connects with your body and how they talk to each other and how that whole system works. And in actuality, when you learn how your body mind works, when you learn how everything integrates together, then you're able to handle almost all stresses in life. So today we're going to talk about handling soulmates. When you find a soulmate, they are someone who brings out the best in you and they bring out the worst in you. They touch you at your deepest level. They can be romantic, they can be business partners, they can be um, people that you collaborate with. Sometimes they can just be people that you've only seen momentarily or you just see once. What they do is they bring up feelings in you that that are past your guard, past your the person that keeps you detached and watching the world. They actually get underneath all of that stuff and affect you. Now, in many ways, they can affect us in ways that are really hard, in ways that make us feel very angry and frustrated and irritated and hurt, and will remind us of things that have happened before us. So, the beauty of soulmates is that they have the ability to bring up sides of us that we normally keep hidden, parts of us which are part of the normal human experience, but that we don't allow ourselves to really embrace. And when you don't embrace parts of yourself, you have a really hard time navigating life and navigating the world. And so, soulmates help you evolve from your past into your present, into the future you that you want to be. Now, many issues that we have, they either came from when we were children or they actually came from generations before us when something happened to someone. Up to 7 generations, most indigenous cultures talk about. They believe that something that happened up to 7 generations ago still affects children. And in fact, there's research about people who've been through trauma like the Holocaust, how that's affected their DNA. And that DNA has then been seen, that change that's happened has then been seen in their children and their grandchildren, that the changes that trauma bring gets passed down. And so soulmates can bring up some of those beliefs and issues too. Soulmates are a wonderful tool, and they are also quite an adventure. They take you on quite the ride and roller coaster of emotion. So if you think you've met a soulmate, which could even be, a politician or your boss or your child, if you think you're in a relationship with a soulmate, there's the highest heights of the top of the mountains and the lowest lows at the bottoms of the oceans. So we need to understand, how do you actually survive this? So I'm going to give you the template. I'm going to give you the tools that I use, that I've used since I was small, that have helped me become the really powerful and sexy and smart and whole and balanced woman that I am. Currently, I own a holistic and cultural arts center in McHenry, Illinois, and I have a thriving shiatsu massage practice that I run out of the back, and it's my absolute dream to have been able to do this. So it's taken me a long journey, probably since I was 30, in order to get to the place that I am now. And that's what I want to share with you, how to survive this process. So let's say that you think you've met your soulmate. They're the one. They've connected with you on a deep level. You seem to be able to talk for hours and about all sorts of things. And you have this connection and you have this hope. And what then happens is things start to go past that honeymoon phase and they start to get harder because, as a good friend of mine once said, every relationship is every man you've ever met or every woman, and like none of them. So each person's unique and different in how they're going to affect you, but they're also going to affect you on a very deep level. They're going to affect you just as painfully and awfully as people do, as people have in your life and in the way that they can. So you've met your soulmate, you're going through this great phase where you're elated, you're at the top of the world, and then suddenly everything starts to go wrong. Suddenly you do the thing or they do the thing that reminds you of all the people that have hurt you before. And you're what's called being triggered. Being triggered is when you go out of your rational mind and into your emotions. You lose the observer, you lose everything that you know to be true, and you're just stuck in this emotion. When something hard happens to us or is passed down from generation to generation, we build up walls around it, almost like electric fence. And when anything ever gets close to it or reminds us of that painful memory or that painful belief, then we go into this emotion state and we're not in our right mind anymore. So, how do you know when someone has triggered you, when they've touched you on a deep level? Anytime that you feel angry, frustrated, irritated, in love, um, anytime you have a strong emotion, especially one that causes a lot of inner conflict and makes you want to react instead of be in a rational, logical state, you're being triggered. Now, many people, what they'll do when they're triggered is it'll start a fight, or they'll come across as needy, or it will start any of our behavior patterns that maybe we developed as a kid in order to cope. Our eating disorder may kick in, our control issues, our alcoholism, or misuse of alcohol, our misuse of drugs, shopping, distraction, television will go into our old patterns, which really don't serve us very well. They tend to keep us stuck in that loop of pain. So when you find yourself doing the things that you know you don't want to be doing, but you can't really help yourself, you're probably being triggered. Anytime that you feel extremely angry or extremely hurt, emotionally devastated or heartbroken, you're being triggered. So, the interesting thing about this is when we're triggered, it's only a very little bit about the person who triggers us, and it's a lot about the belief or the memory that we carry around that. You know, um, if we were bullied, then we'll look around in the world, and anytime somebody looks as if they're bullying us, we'll react. Our adrenaline will start pumping if we see somebody we think is being bullied. Our adrenaline will pump. We might start to sweat. We might want to go in and start, swinging. We might want to yell and get angry. And we don't always take a step back and see what's really going on. I know what this is, and this is what it is, and this is how I'm going to handle it now. That's being triggered when you're no longer in your rational mind. So if a lot of challenges that we have aren't really with the person that's triggering us, it's a much bigger picture, then the healthy, the woman, the evolutionary thing to do is to grow through this process, because soulmates bring things up so that we can love them and we can finally heal them and embrace them and accept them as part of who we are. So that's the real benefit of soulmates, because they make us whole. They reclaim those parts of our soul that we've denied, that we hate, that we don't like, that we're still judging. Soulmates bring those things up so that we can learn about them, understand them, integrate them, and use them as a tool instead of as something that always makes us mad, or we just can't look at, or we can't stand. So I'll use real life examples for me. I tend to collaborate with people, and when I collaborate with people, on first glance, they can seem perfect. I seem perfect to them, they seem perfect to me, and we're open to a new opportunity. My challenge is I tend to be very tolerant and open with conflict anymore, with differences of opinion, with a little bit more aggression or sarcasm. And if I'm not careful, then, and if I don't do a lot of good work developing a relationship with someone, then they can take my personality wrong. It can trigger them. It can bring things up that they've decided that they don't want in their life anymore. So I've had soulmates in my life where at the first glance they've seemed amazing, and then we've triggered each other. Now, the first thing you need to know is that this is perfect. This is all part of the process. This is how it works. You're supposed to trigger people. They're supposed to trigger you. So what's the next step? You're triggered, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're shaking, your adrenaline is pumping. The first thing you need to do is do something to break the pain cycle, to interrupt this door that's opened and everything and every emotion that's flying out. I use a couple different things. The first way that I break the cycle is I will drink water. So I keep water everywhere around me. I know that people are going to trigger me because that's what relationships do, and so I have water in my car, next to my bed, next to the couch, next to the chair that I read, at work, next to my desk, next to the place that I talk to people when I'm on the phone. I keep water everywhere because when you drink water, it gives you a different felt sense. It interrupts your thought pattern and it interrupts how you feel. And it gives you just a little bit of a break to take a breath, to take a step back. So the first thing when I'm triggered is I'll drink water, and I keep it everywhere around me. The second thing that happens when I'm triggered is I'll start to change my breathing. I'll take a deep breath, and then I'll bear down as if I'm tightening everything down. In the middle of your body, you have what's called a vagus nerve. And that nerve is pretty much the master control switch for your body. So when you breathe in deeply and you bear down and press on that nerve, it tells your whole body to relax. That helps get you out of that fight or flight mode again, out of the emotion again. So taking that deep breath and bearing down for 3 to 5 seconds and doing it 3 to 4 times is what will help dial it down just a little bit more. The next thing that I'll do is I will go to the bathroom or take a break. If I can only take a short break, I'll excuse myself and I'll go to the bathroom. And most people will let you do that. They won't, see anything weird with that. And that gives you time to take those breaths, time to drink your water. Sometimes I'll do calming things, acupressure points. Let's say in the palm of my hand, and I'll calm that, or I'll touch my skin. There was an Ojibwe elder that I used to work with, and he said, whenever you feel disconnected and lost, and you need that fire of life and that connection, he said, touch your skin. Just rub your arm, and that warmth that you feel and that touch, it'll calm you down and help you feel connected. Some of my best places to hold and touch are my heart and my stomach, and then also my lower back, down at the base of my spine. Those 3 places have a lot of receptors. And if you can calm them, if you can hold them, then that also tells your body to start dialing it down. So, okay, you're triggered. You don't want to turn it into an argument. You don't want to go ballistic and fall off the edge of your cliff. So, you do these three things in order to immediately give you a break from triggering. But that doesn't mean that you don't still have a lot going on. So, if the next time I have the ability, once I get through the moment, I handle it as a rational adult or with a little bit of sanity, now some of the processing needs to happen. So typically, what I'll do is I have two main tools that I use. One is a playlist that I keep around, and the playlist has specific songs that will help put different thoughts into my head. Because as you know, when you're triggered, one of the symptoms is you become kind of obsessive and paranoid about your thoughts. You think only the same, let's say, 4 or 5 thoughts over and over and over and over and over. And you need to put different thoughts into your head. As a little side note, if you're in an obsessive place, use it to obsess about something positive, because this is where the law of attraction can come in. If you're going to obsess about something and you're going to strengthen that neural connection, purposely let your mind obsess about a dream you want to fulfill. And no, it's not, pushing somebody else in front of a bus. It's not something like that, but something positive that you want to fulfill. So if you're in an obsessive mind state, you can actually use it to send out waves and vibes and to send messages to your body and your body mind and your subconscious about what you really want and strengthen that. So sometimes when I'm in that obsessive state of mind, I like to use it to manifest and attract the things that I really want. So let's say I'm tired of obsessing, I'm tired of being paranoid, and I need a bigger break in my thought process, in my feeling, in the fact that I'm, enraged, and before I write that Facebook post or before I, tweet something that makes me feel better but doesn't really help me evolve as a person, before I do that, I plug into music. And headphones works best because the sound just kind of goes directly into your head and your body. I have one song that I'll listen to when I really need to get out of a jam, and it's called Let Your Love Flow, and it's by the Bellamy Brothers. I can listen to Let Your Love Flow uh, play on and on over and over until finally the message, the words of the song start to entrain my brain to different thoughts. And when it entrains my brain to different thoughts, it gives me that break. Now, if you really want to supercharge that, you do it while walking or doing exercise or movement of some sort, because the new messages plus moving all of those hormones and those chemicals from your trigger, from those emotions, moving them out of your body by movement, walking, jumping, dancing, chopping wood, throwing a baseball, whatever it may be, boxing. When you do movement and exercise with your new thoughts, it really helps dial down that trigger, and it really helps you get back into that rational state of mind, into being able to see things a lot more clearly. So I listen to my music and I walk, and I walk and I walk and I walk, and I listen and I listen and I listen until I start to come out of that grip of emotion that we end up being in. And on the other side of all of that emotion, our mind expands again and we see things in a bigger way. So, actually, enlightenment and growth and evolution is a side effect of processing through the emotions and the feelings that we've hidden and buried, the things which are coming up to be loved. It's helping move the energy of those emotion chemicals, helping get them out of our body so that we can see the big picture again. So we're no longer the child. We're no longer the small person who's being victimized and is helpless. We're the adult woman who has the ability to make choices for herself and has a lot of power. So The side effect of working through these emotions, of moving them through you, is this wisdom and this enlightenment and this understanding. What it does is it actually integrates those parts and pieces that you've isolated, that you've pushed aside. It brings them back into the fold. It brings them back into the you. And what they do is now you have more empathy, you have more understanding, you are less emotional, you have more peace, and you make better choices when you process through these things. So that's a side effect of the movement and of the music. So let's say you want to be preemptive about this. You don't want to wait until you're triggered. Let's say that you're someone who likes to have more control over their life, likes to make more decisions um, that benefit them, and they want to handle these things before they become big problems. Maybe you've watched yourself make the same mistakes in your relationships over and over. Maybe you've had many soulmates, many romantic soulmates, and none of them have worked out, because you got mad and walked away, or they got mad and walked away. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe there was a big blow up. Maybe, there was a coldness and a detachment that happened. What you can do is you can be very preemptive about these things. And this is the process I go through. It's a 5-step process. So process number one is step number one is you create a safe space. Now, I have a space in my office. My office is designed to surround me with positive memories and positive beliefs that remind me of who I am. I have banners and pictures, and even the carpet has a story behind it. Every chair, every wall hanging, every lamp has a powerful story that's meaningful to me. These are called anchors. You surround yourself with anchors that remind you who you want to be, that remind you of the direction you're going, that keep the bigger picture in mind. So I surround myself with these anchors. And then I let myself go into the feeling. If you were recently triggered, or you found yourself irritated or frustrated by something, and you're worried it's going to turn into something bigger, resentment, if you don't handle it, this is the way to handle it. Then you let yourself go into that emotion. You let yourself be triggered again. Remember the person who betrayed you, who broke your heart, who did that thing, recently, the politician or the family member or the child or the mother, when they did that thing that made us crazy. Let yourself go as deep into that as you want. And always remember you've got your anchors around you so that you don't have to dive into the deep end of the pool. You need to be safe with this. You need to let yourself touch it without feeling out of control. Okay? That's what the anchors are there for, to keep you from feeling out of control. So you touch the emotion and you let yourself feel it. And this is true when you're triggered in bigger ways too. When something kind of blindsides you, give yourself a little bit of time to really feel the emotion. Don't judge yourself for being angry or hurt or upset. Don't try to shortcut the whole thing. Let yourself be angry or hurt for as long as you want to, and keep going through these processing steps. So you're feeling this anger, you're feeling this heartbreak and hurt. Maybe it's paralyzing you and you can't get out of bed, and you're frustrated, and you just want to fight or cry, or you can't move. The next thing that you do is you find a little bit of detachment. Because once you've moved the energy, detachment comes as a natural side effect. You start seeing things in a bigger perspective. So once you've, in your head, cried and screamed and said all the things that you wanted to say without any judgmentalism, you'll start to get some detachment and perspective. You'll start to see the bigger picture. Suddenly you'll start to see wisdoms and understandings and insights that you couldn't see when you were frustrated. Maybe when you're now seeing this person as, oh, they triggered me. That's right. I did it again. Or, oh, yeah, they aren't my father. They aren't my mother. They aren't that person that did that thing to me. That's right. They're different. I'm not helpless. I'm not a victim. I'm not a child. I'm an adult. I'm an adult woman, and I have choices and power. So detachment, natural detachment starts to come. The wisdom starts to come in. And you just allow that process to happen. Let yourself sort of self-reflect and muse on uh, on the things that bubble up. The next step in the process is where you give yourself a break. Now is when you pull yourself back out. And I'll use music to do it. I'll use the water. I'll use a snack. I'll use something to pull me even further out of the experience, even further away from the emotion. So it started with the emotion, then it went to feeling the emotion, then it went to uh, the detachment that comes from that emotion, and now you're giving yourself a break. Take a break from all that negativity that you feel. Use the music, use the water, use the exercise, put it all down. Use visualization. When you feel that you kind of have a clean slate, the last step is you imagine and visualize and maybe even practice with people how you want to do something different next time. How now with the new wisdom that you have, the new understanding, how do you want to handle when someone does this thing next time to you? Maybe they talk down to you. Maybe they belittle you. Maybe they're sarcastic. Maybe they walk away. Maybe they detached. They did that thing. And you know it's going to happen again because that's what happens in relationships. So when that thing happens, visualize and go into how you want to handle it. So remember, all of these things have layers to them. Don't expect to be, one and done. But this is the process I use when something comes up or when I know I need to look at something deeper. I go into the emotion, I let the emotion move through me, the wisdom and understanding comes, I give myself a little bit more detachment, and then I visualize how I want it to turn out. And I do all of that in my safe space, in the space that's surrounded by all my anchors and all my memories, and they remind me what I'm here to do. So if you want to turn drama into intimacy, you have to deal with your own drama. Because only when you can be present with someone, only when you can make the choices of how you want to behave. And sometimes maybe you will behave in a very angry way or a very irritated way because it's a tool. Maybe you decide that this is the best way to communicate with someone. Human beings are very complex. And so you want to be able to make those choices from a rational point of view, from it's your choice. It's not a reaction anymore. You're deciding to be angry and this is how you want to handle it. You're deciding to say something or not say something to somebody. So you're taking back your power. You're taking back your choice. And when you do that, now is when you can start to develop intimacy with someone. Before, what would always cause a fight, which it would always turn into some big blowout or some meltdown or physical illness or a reaction or taking it out on your dog or your spouse or your kid or someone, at the deli. Instead of doing that, this allows you to engage with the world in a very open, vulnerable, and meaningful way. And that's how we create intimacy. We create intimacy when we are vulnerable and we let ourselves engage with other people at that level. But we can't be intimate if we continue to react and go back to our eating disorders and our anger management issues and all those things that come up when we're triggered. So when we process through those, it turns drama into intimacy. And in fact, now the triggering moment becomes something almost that you crave on one level. It may be hard to go through, but it brings up that other piece of how to love yourself and that other piece of how to move through the world as an adult woman and not necessarily as the child that we tend to run back to. So thank you for joining me today. And if you look in the comments part, you'll see that I have teamed up with Meet Your Sweet. And Meet Your Sweet is this great relationship site. that's spent years and years creating these products. And so one of the products I've teamed up with is about finding and getting a great guy. And we would love to share with you the 3 things that really can bring love and intimacy in your life. So I invite you to click the link and check it out, because you'll find 3 secrets which keep us from having intimacy, and these secrets that keep us from creating the relationships and the love and the life that we've always wanted to have. So I invite you to check out the video, find out the 3 secrets, because they're not things that you would think about. And they weren't things that our mother taught us, or that the media taught us, or sitcoms taught us, or fashion magazines taught us. They're real world, on the ground, practical information about how we work as human beings and how we can get along. So it's all about finding and keeping a great guy. So thanks again for joining me, and I totally invite you to go to follow the link that's attached to this video, and join us on this journey. There's so many opportunities to move in a positive direction, and I want to help you with that as much as I can. So enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a great one. Bye.